Most people watching this are asking, is Hudson Place a good buy? But I think that's the wrong question. The right question is this: are you okay buying into something that isn't fully ready yet? Because this is what Hudson Place is asking you to do. And depending on who you are, there's either an opportunity or the reason to walk away. I'll tell you my 2 concerns for this place and 3 reasons why I think this place could be an opportunity. So let's strip away the marketing for a moment and look at Hudson Place. So at Hudson Place, the location is actually at Media Circle in Queenstown. Over here, the nearest MRT is actually in 1 North. Total, there are 327 units, 2 blocks. It is a 99-year leasehold, and by the time it's ready, it will be about 30 September 2029. This is by Qing Jian for the developer. So the thing to take note over here, this is actually a residential and commercial at first story. So this is where people start forming the wrong picture in their head. This is not your integrated like pioneering residences. We are only talking about approximately 400 square meters, roughly 4 to 5 units at a street level. So if you're imagining cafes, supermarket, and a lifestyle hub downstairs, you will have to think twice. Now that you understand what Hudson Place really is, let me tell you my 2 concerns for this place. Because honestly, this is the part that matters more. The first one is simple. Can you actually live here comfortably? So the first concern is the connectivity and daily livability here. So let me be upfront over here. For daily living, this area is still a work in progress. So when we look at the transport, the nearest MRT is 1 North Station. It sounds close, but Hudson sits along Media Circle over here. So this isn't a quick, sheltered 3 minutes walk. It's one of those walk, under the hot sun, you actually think twice if it's raining or even at night. So this development is also actually within a car light zone. So what does it mean is that the developer is not giving you a full 327 units. You actually only have 137 units over here. So it's not even half. Not everyone gets a parking space. So this means you'll be balloting for it, first come, first serve. They also provide 57 bicycle lots. So usually developers, they do cut parking when you're within, let's say like 400 meters to the MRT. But here, this is not quite there. So you're still getting the same constraint. The second concern is less obvious, but honestly also more important. This is also not a fully residential estate. It's not a default area like Queenstown, Bishan, or Tampines, areas where buyers come naturally because, they have schools, the amenities, the familiarity is already baked in, and you have that natural demand in the area. Because when you're watching Bloomsbury Residence, you remember that when it was sold, it had a very slow uptake rate. So the instinct when you read as slow, right? Normally you would think that it's a slow launch and that would mean there's something wrong with the project. But at the same time, if you remember back then, when Bloomsbury was launched, it was actually launched in the middle of the Trump tariff period. So this point of time, the market sentiments were very cautious. Everyone, the buyers, were holding back, not just here. Fast forward to 1 year later, Bloomsbury is already about 86% sold over here. So this makes you wonder, what is it about this area that consumers are buying into? So here are 3 things I like about Hudson Place. The first thing, this transformation is no longer conceptual. So it has been named, phased, and already started. So this is where the government has already committed. So the Dover Medway over here that you see, this is actually going to give rise to about 6,000 public or private homes in this phase. And then we have Mediapolis over here, which is where Hudson is. This will give you about 5,000 new homes in this area. So what this means for you is that more families, more professionals, more people are actually putting their roots down here. Almost next door, this is Kampong AI. So now we are using AI almost every day. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, AI isn't coming, it's already here. And Singapore has decided that this is where it gets built. And the completion that it has over here is that it will be in 2028. This is even before Hudson TOP. So what does this mean for you? Is that by the time you're collecting your keys, Kampong AI is already operational, pulling in companies for you. So that your rental pool doesn't depend only on the existing one-off tenant, it grows with all these companies that move in. Then there is Queensway Node. So if you haven't heard of it, this is the missing link between One North and Queenstown. This is a sheltered community hub sitting right at the railway corridor, designed to make Queenstown like your separate trip at your backyard. So completion for this Queensway node is going to be by 2027. So by the time you collect your keys, the connection is already done. They are already getting better before you arrive. The second thing, the land bit tells you an interesting story because this number changes how you see this. So every time you have a new township announced by the government, a lot of people are wondering, is this something that we can really buy into? And that's fair because we heard this story before. So remember Lentor when the first plot launched? Even the developers, they were also skeptics because they also priced it more conservatively. Nobody wanted to be the first. Even in One Marina Garden, same story. The first launch into a new town always makes people a little bit more nervous. So Hudson Place came in actually at a land bid of 1,037 PSF on land. And this is actually an RCR zone site over here. So some of you may be wondering, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll just wait and see what else comes up. Or is there something better? So fair enough. Looking over here, we can see what comes next. So we have Lakeside Drive in the OCR. This has already been bought by the developers at 1,132 PSF. We have Lentor Central, also bought at 1,002 PSF. We have Bedok Rise at 1,003 PSF and Chuan Grove also 1,003 PSF. So every single one of this is higher than Hudson. So this is where it gets interesting. All of these are actually OCR sites outside Central Region. So you're getting a more central location for less land costs. But that's not even the most important number. So if you're waiting for something to come along, then that's better. The pipeline already can show you what's up. So we also have Dover Drive, same area, same corridor, right up the road from Hudson Place. But for Dover Drive, the land bid over here was 1,556 PSF. So that is a gap of 519 difference over here on the same stretch. So this wasn't just a one bidder over here for the developers. We have a total of 6 developers. So we have Capital Land, we have Waco Land, Frasers, UOL, and the same developer who built Hudson and Bloomsbury at 1,037, they bought this place over here. So they are quite convicted with hundreds and millions of dollars behind it. So with Hudson being 1,037 PSF land at RCR zone, so you're not buying ahead of the market on hope. You're actually buying ahead of the pipeline that actually shows you what's going on over here. Let's look at the RCR land bids. So for Penrith, we have a RCR site. The land was bought at 1,154 PSF. This has already been launched with a very high uptake rate. They sold an 850 square feet unit at 2.29 million, averaging at 2,800 PSF. So with the subsequent launches, and with Dover Drive upcoming being about 1,556 PSF, what do you think the developer will launch it at? So let's talk about who works in One North. So we have Grab, Razer, P&G, Walt Disney, Johnson & Johnson's, and over 700 startups over here. These aren't small offices, they are global headquarters, regional hubs. How many people actually work here? So with this estimate, there's about 50,000 over. And how many homes over here actually can fit this workforce? So across the entire One North cluster and the surrounding condos, when we added it up, that is about 3,683 units amongst those workforce over there. So that could also be the reason why they're actually adding new residential units into this area. So let's look at whether this area can be profitable. So the most recent project that we have is actually One North Eden that TOP in 2024. This has only 165 units. And when we look at the transactions for One North Eden, the highest profit over here that transacted over here, we actually have 741K. And that annualized return is 8.69%. The average profits around here is about 385K, and this is about a holding period of only 3 to 4 years. So this is a very good profit for a short span of time. Who is this project actually for? Let me bring it all together. And one question that sit underneath it. Are you okay buying into something that isn't fully ready yet? Because that's still the questions. The concerns are real. The MRT walk isn't ideal. The car-like promise doesn't fully match the infrastructure yet. Hudson Place is not for everyone. It's not a default estate and the easiest resale story. If you need everything to be in a place before you feel comfortable committing, then this is probably not the right project for you. But if you can look in this area and see what it's becoming, the master plan, the tech cluster, the land bid, and the Queensway node completing even before you move in, and you have the holding period, then the real question is this: would you rather buy before the transformation is obvious to everyone or after? Because the price will reflect it. If you are an owner-occupier and you work in the one-off corridor, you value this area and buying for the long term, the numbers and your vision will align. The neighborhood will eventually catch up to you. If you're an investor, the rental demand base exists right now. There are over a lot of professionals working in this area. So the transformation is a bonus, but you will need to choose your unit size carefully, the one that you'll be able to exit easier in the resale market, and be clear-eyed about your resale buyer pool. If you're interested about Hudson Place, here's what you need to know. The preview period is from the 1st to the 12th of May, and the booking is on the 16th of May. Floor plans and full brochures are already out. If you want to go through the numbers properly, which unit type suits your profile, which stacks to consider, or what to watch out for the booking day, drop me a message or reach out. Because in this project, it's also important to choose the units that stands out from the competition. The details are in the description. So there are a lot of new launches coming in the second half of 2026. Some of them are quite worthy to see. I'm going to rank every single one of them so you can know exactly which launches to act on and which ones to walk away. Subscribe so you don't miss it when it drops.